Welcome to a spot interview of NeverEndingPanel.com, shot here at the Pasadena Hilton, Westercon 63. We have special guest today, Art Cover, who is the Hugo-nominated award. Nebula nominated of Autumn Angels.
Yes.
Also, you were an owner of a bookstore of 21 years. What was the name of it?
Dangerous Visions.
Dangerous Visions in Hollywood, correct?
Sherman Oaks, actually, just down the street from the guy who edited the book.
I'm going to get all the facts completely wrong. Art is a very smart guy, blows me away from time to time, actually most of the time. Next to Art is Richard Berger, who is a director and the producer and owner of
thewinedvd.com,
which is quite good. And if you want to know anything about wine, you want to get this DVD. And next to Richard is, of course, Eitan. And next to Eitan is, of course, soundman Tim Trepich. And the reason we have the guys here today is because they're doing a documentary on science fiction. We met Richard initially when he interviewed us at one of the cons, just talking about all things specifically about our book. And then we finished, or we did another part of the interview at Richard's house where we met Art. And we really want to know, what is this documentary about? Why are you doing it?
Well, I would say we're not sure.
I was going to say, so do I. Yeah.
Gosh, I want to know too.
Yes, the money and the fame. I think that we're trying to uncover some kind of alien plot from time to time.
Oh, come on.
But we haven't got... Well, why are we talking to science fiction writers? Because that's what they're about, is alien conspiracies. However, that being said, part of the documentary also includes real scientists. And hopefully what we're going to do is figure out where the heck we're going.
So who are you interviewing?
Well,
what types of people besides authors?
Well, so far authors, we plan to go to JPL, but what we're really trying to get at is we're trying to explore the intersection between science fiction and how it affected reality and vice versa, and then try to explore why a lot of people feel the space program has laid fallow for several years, like a lot of opportunities just haven't been followed up on. And
right.
There's like a lot of reasons you can blame the founding fathers if you want, or just whatever. But, there's a lot of reasons why it's going slow, and then we're trying to see how we can use the information that we gain to try to figure out some little kernel or mystery of human nature so that we can try to propel it forward.
So
you're
feeling like something has been lost. There was a period of time where everybody was excited about science. Science fiction might have been propelling or pushing that excitement forward.
Right.
The space movement. You had people who actually created the guy who created the flip phone said I was inspired by the actual
Star Trek
communicator. Where has all that gone? How, in asking the questions to these people, are you asking those kind of questions? What do you hope to get from talking to the authors, from talking to the JPL guys?
Okay, so for authors, one of the questions that we in fact asked you guys was, what do you think the world is going to look like in 50 years? What do you think the world is going to look like in 100 years? So it's not just a very simple question, because it also calls up the concept of how is society itself going to change, the social ramifications of technology. So nobody knows, but if you talk to the people that are doing it, maybe you'll get some idea. And of course, we know that the dark side of everything is the environment and overpopulation and nuclear Iran and all the other stuff that can go wrong. So can we survive before that stuff kills us?
Yeah, it seems like in the 60s and to some degree in the 70s, society, civilization had problems that were just as intractable. They seemed just as intractable then as our current problems seem intractable today. Yet there was still despite the existence of, Raymond Chandler and Dashiell Hammond and all that dark side of human nature, John Ricci novels and stuff like that, there was still, culturally, there was still a sense of...
anything is possible.
There was still a sense of optimism, and it actually came through in the arts, like in movies and music and in books, And I don't want to blame everything on like the fact
South Park?
No, not at all. Because actually, South Park is like I'm not a fan of South Park,
Right.
but I love the fact that these guys just go out there and they do it.
No, but I think South Park speaks to the cynicism that you're speaking to. I think that there's a whole generation of either a cynical, mistrusting.
The default is total incompetence in the adult world.
Total.
Well,
that's a very accurate thing to say.
That's part of it, but also the fact that even at the same time, while the '70s were like had all these problems, there was still even a Monty Python who I would have to say successfully skewered every illusion of authority that existed at the time. There was still something liberating and optimistic about just watching their shows for the first time, or even like subsequently, like everybody did, you know.
But also, as concerns what you said, one of the things we've been doing is interviewing kids, and they have a very, very different sense of what the world's going to be than we would think, because there is that cynicism that adults have really screwed things up. They also have tremendous optimism. So is that just because they're kids? But they're pretty perceptive. So maybe they feel like, okay, we're going to just grow up and fix stuff.
Yeah, I find that with my kids, I try to infuse them. We sometimes, when the moon is quite beautiful at night, I'll go out and I'll be saying to them, when you're 40 or 50, you have a pretty decent shot of actually, getting to visit that. And I want to put them there. I really want them to have that kind of excitement. But I'm not the normal demographic as a science fiction author. I'm excited about the future and about science.
Well, one of the things that we also have heard in interviewing some of the writers is they feel that unless the human race gets into other places other than this planet, we're not going to survive. That there are many people, many of the writers who feel that life is not going to be sustainable here in 100 years, and we better be somewhere else. So are we doing that? I don't know. Obama said, let's go to Mars. Where's the money?
Right.
How is that going to happen?
There's also, like, as we're doing this interview, it's like 80 days until the Gulf spill, whatever, and it's like a lot of politicians on both parties. I'm pretty far to the left, so nationally I'm more critical of those on the right. But looking at politicians and the way that they responded to all this, it doesn't seem to have, no pun intended, sunk in that we're talking about serious chain of life stuff that's gone wrong.
Well, so the question
they
is,
don't have and so where's the perspective coming? Why are they just looking to the next election? They need to look for I
want to bring it back.
100 years ahead.
So let me bring it back to what you guys are talking about, which is, again, there's a cynicism and a disbelief that any government's going to help us, whether it's the right or the left, and it seems to be pervading youth now to the point that they're not believing in the magic of science fiction as the golden age, or when there was this sort of excitement about it.
But is science fiction science?
So I want to go back and sort of roll up on this thing that Art had mentioned about Monty Python and wrap up on this. With Monty Python, they were making fun of the government, but there was still a belief that government could produce. And I think that's the difference now. They make fun of the government now and adult structure now on TV shows and media and everything like that. But I think the difference is that there is a fundamental belief that the government can't, or the people who are running the show can't. And I think, unfortunately, that pervades into the realm of the optimism that you spoke of, even in the 60s when things were going bad. I think that is ultimately what is going to be the bane of moving your dream forward, of having kids be excited about science and science fiction.
I will say only one last thing.
With 10 seconds
This
left.
documentary is also changing us, because we have gotten some very, very surprising answers from people that we didn't expect.
Is there a place yet to get information from
Not
this?
at all,
Not
no.
yet. So
Not
you'll get it to us
Yeah.
when you're ready to show it, and we'll put it on
There you go.
neverendingpen.com. Art and Richard, thank you so much for being on our show.
Thank you.
We really appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you.